Okay, so here we are. Hopefully, we're back at my Thrill of the Chase chat here, and so this is like part three, and this is like this rant that's just gone on and on. And I tell you something, it has been a long time coming for me. I have, for a long time, this has been something where I have really like I meant to dump this solve over and over again, and I just kind of felt silly about it, or just like I knew people would like slam on me because I'm talking about Molly Brown, I'm talking about Forrest Fenn, and so let's cut back. Here's Forrest Fenn. So this is part three, and if you've there's Forrest Fenn with his gold, and I know I totally understand. That Alice in Wonderland, and we're hunting rabbits. So just bear with me here. But here it is. This is it. Finally. Okay, let me swipe back here. Let's go back. Let's try and find the right. So we're talking about Molly Brown, and so what my supposition is, what my hypothesis is, and this was my solve 2 years ago, and I'm going to lay it all on the line here. I mean, this is it. As Michael Jackson said, this is it. If he get the screen to come up. All right, so here it is. Here's the home of Molly Brown, and I was there. I think this was 2 years ago, and this was during the summer. And I actually was there right in front of Molly Brown's house. And if you see, there's this panel in the front with right here. I had seen it online. I had done a whole bunch of research about it, and I finally arrived there. And I searched around. I mean, there were people waiting to get into the tour. I think it's like $35 or $30 to do the tour of the house, and it was pretty early, somewhat early in the morning, and it was the first tour, and these people were all standing around waiting, and I climbed all over the front yard. Was try to be discreet about it, and I even climbed up here on this ledge, and I looked inside these jars. They people were a little bit irritated by me by doing that. They kind of looked at me like I was crazy. Didn't see anything inside the jar. I wanted to dig, but I got some just standing up here on this ledge. I got some condescending comments right away, and so I kind of backed off. So the next picture here's looking up at Molly Brown House. This is actually um, the unflappable Molly Brown. This is the house that was built in 1800s. The original home, of course, it's I'm sure it's been upgraded and taken care of, but it is the original home. If you look at original pictures, it's pretty darn close. I'm sure it's like the windows and stuff have been replaced for modern times for keep the wind and the rain out. This is on the right hand side here, and there's these little steps that walk up, and you see the line, and you can actually walk up behind the house and go around it, and there's like a little museum, and you can get tchotchkes and stuff in the back there. I think that's where you buy your ticket. Also, I went all around. I looked in the tree, I looked all over, and did not find the box. So moving on, one of the things that this is one of the things at the front of the house I was talking about. I had seen other pictures of it, and this is one of the things that drove me to this house was I had to see this plaque up front at the front of the house on the sidewalk for myself. I had seen blurry pictures of it, and I had to get a picture of it. It has the four horses with a woman. You see the woman holding on to the reins of the horse, and you see the circle here, the wheel, and we see this figure looking back, and he looks like some kind of an angel, or he's got wings. Um, so very interesting. To this day, I still have not been able to 100% connect that to anything. I have some ideas about it, but I had to see it in person. It was kind of very interesting for me. So one of the solves that I had, and I did not go inside the house. I had an appointment, and so talk about cutting to the chase and trying to cut these videos and get this done in like a 10-part series, maybe. Is that this is inside the Molly Brown house, and I had gotten these pictures, and there's at least one, if not two, people who run that have YouTube videos where they went inside and they were able to. Pardon me for a second here. Let me get a sip of. And you can find those YouTube videos where they walk around inside the house and they show the whole house. So the first time I ever saw those videos, I was sort of stunned, and I had to go get this picture. And this is inside the Molly Brown house, and you see the fireplace. And in the old days, a lot of times a fireplace was called a blaze. And one of the things that struck me was how ornate the fireplace is. And one of the things I had as a solve was that is it possible that Forrest Fenn, and the chest is very ornate, did Forrest Fenn go inside? Did he go inside the house? I know I'm flipping through the pictures. Did he go inside the house and did he just leave the chest, in the house? It makes sense. I mean, the house is a historic location. It's not going anywhere, and I still don't know this very day if that's right or wrong. But one of the other reasons, the other things I noticed about this was, or one of the points to be made about it was that Forrest Fenn had said that um, that in the poem he said that he went inside, that he took. I have gone alone inside there, alone, and so that was my solve was that where he's talking about where he went alone with his treasure bold was inside the house of Molly Brown, and that he may have left the treasure inside. And I mean, that seemed entirely plausible to me. I mean, that he parked the car down the street. By the way, parking's not great on Pennsylvania Avenue in downtown Everett and or downtown Seattle, and he had to he had to hoof the thing up there in two trips, and I don't know how he would have done that, but that was my solve. Another thing too that I had honed in on was this picture above the mantle. My understanding in earlier days before a renovation that this picture was down below, more to the left, and that my understanding was why you would say you need to look down quickly. And so I actually did some more research, and here was the picture. And this was, and actually, it still is a solve of mine. And one of the reasons why it was a solve, and I'll say it as quickly as possible, and I know this stuff is like pie in the sky, but is that Forrest Fenn had done the example of where he has the peace pipe from this famous Indian, and he actually has the peace pipe, and then he was able to use a picture of the Indian holding the peace pipe, and then they were able to compare the grain in the actual peace pipe with the picture. And so one of the solves I had was that maybe that's a clue that Forrest Fenn is saying that you need to use this picture and then take the picture and match this up with this mountain range, which is very distinct. And this kind of curve in the river, it fits in with his fishing lore. Okay, it's definitely another rabbit. Remember, we're hunting rabbits, right? So, to take things even further, let's see where we're at here. To get even more wacky with this thing, is that if you look at where Molly Brown's house here, hopefully this comes out properly in the video. Molly Brown's house is right here, and it's on Pennsylvania Avenue. And if you notice, the state capitol, Colorado State Capitol, is not far. It's quite a hike. This is more than a city block. It's like two. These are very long, and then you have to hang a left here, walk another block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, 4 blocks down, to get, or almost 5 blocks down to get to this park. And actually, it's sort of famous because this park is where also there was very very tough times in Denver during the time when Molly Brown had this house built, and um, in this park down here, um, there were a lot of people who were down and out on their luck, and this park actually was filled with people living in tents. And Molly Brown actually was instrumental in rallying money from the wealthy, getting money from philanthropy, and organizing people to like help these people and get them out of living in squalor in these tents, and also to feed them. Um, which is very interesting that it really is. And then that's the state capitol, but it's very interesting that from Molly Brown's house to the state capitol, it's not far. but it's walkable. But it really is. It's not far, but it's too far to walk. Um, I also want to point out that there's some churches in the area, but I think that also is again major rabbit city. So what does all this mean? One of the things talking about just a huge jump in logic was that if you go one street down from Pennsylvania Avenue, and I forgot the reference, but I think at one point Forrest Fenn said something about that it's just one down or something, and what we realized, my then girlfriend and I noticed when we did the hike, we actually walked from Molly Brown's house all the way to the state capitol, was that we noticed that the next street down is Logan Street, and when you walk all the way back to the state capitol, this is what you see, or what we saw. Let's cut to the next picture, and here's the state capitol, and you walk up, and it's extremely ornate, and it's covered in gold, and we were drawn to it because we were definitely like, hey, that definitely is like a blaze. I mean, that's pretty amazing. And so when you walk around the other side, the front side of the building, we noticed this walkway with all the stairs, and you walk up through these trees. And again, we were pushing the narrative of I've gone down in there before. I've been in there before with my treasures bold. And when you walk up these stairs, up through all these huge, these different kind of trees, that you do have almost this feeling of you're going in there. So you get up to the top of the trees and you come to this plaza, and one of the things that's very striking is that you see this armed man in bronze standing there, and in front of the state capitol. You start to feel very much this sense of this idea of war. And Forrest Fenn was in Vietnam, and that was a huge tie-in for us. Was that we really were looking at this ideal of that Forrest Fenn was in war, and he was a fighter pilot in Vietnam, and then you have this state capitol, which is very impressive, and that walk up those stairs with all the flowers and these all these wonderful trees. They're huge, beautiful, sprawling trees. And actually, it's hard to see from the picture, but there's all these beautiful yellow flowers, and the walk up is very majestic. It's very, you feel like you're almost kind of walking into this place, and then you come to the top and you come to this memorial here, and this man's holding the gun. And then the next thing that I we found like really like telling is and kind of like fell started to fall into our solve. I mean, we really started to feel like we were like hitting on something huge. Is that when you come up to the stairs, um, it's five exactly. It's been measured by the University of Colorado. I mean, they've done all sorts of different altitude testments and everything, and it's very interesting that right behind the soldier on the steps is the marker, and that it's exactly 5,280 feet above sea level. It's 1 mile high. And Forrest Fenn had said that the treasure is between 5,000 feet and 10,200 feet. And you know, um, the interesting thing is that the distance between these steps and this soldier is just about 200 feet. And so, we definitely found that like really, really interesting that there, it's 5,280 feet, and we're looking at a distance of 200 feet. And trust me, we scoured the area looking all over behind bushes and everything we could there. Um, all right, so I'm running out of time here, and I'm going to get to the next point. But so when you walk up the stairs here, there's a plaque, and I'll get to the next point. And it definitely, when we looked at the plaque after having seen the road, the street name, it definitely made our hair stand up on the back of our neck. We were like, man, are we on to something? I mean, we may have hit this thing here. And so sharing that with you. So we're going to do another part of this because I'm running out of time. I can only post in blocks for YouTube. So yeah, that was definitely a moment for us where we saw all these things kind of line up, and I'm going to share that with you. What we saw there at the Colorado State Capitol. So stay tuned. Tune in for the. I think it's gonna be part four. Part four. All right. Thank you. Tune in again. Like my videos.